So here I have a cosmetic bag that I made previously. I did a video on that already. It's a faux suede nubuck. It's a very sensitive fabric to heat. I have a leopard lining on it. I'm going to be using this new Scissor Hollow Pearl HTV that I bought from Craft HTV for 75 cents per sheet for this sheet, which is about 12 by 7. Okay, so first I need a design for my bag. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look up beauty quotes. And then I'm going to go to images and see if I can find something I like. Let's see. I think I don't want to go too deep in here. Glow is the essence of beauty. I think what I'm going to go with is this one right here. Eyebrows speak louder than words. So what I'm going to do is go to my Silhouette Cameo software, hit the text button, and let me close this because I don't need to recover anything right now, and put in, let me get my computer a little closer here, put in, oh wait a minute, that took me to the eraser. Eyebrows are, let's see how it looks on there. Oh, speak louder than words. So I want to kind of do it like it is on here. So I'm going to do that and then duplicate that box. I'm going to double click that. Backspace. This should be speak louder. U-D-E-R. I want that to be in lowercase. Let's take a look again. Then words. Once again, Control D to duplicate. Then words. Now let's highlight all of them. Wait a minute. Now this is going to be a little tricky because I'm trying to hold my iPad. We can do them one at a time to make this easier on me. So I'm going to make them black for right now. But of course they're not going to end up being this color. And I don't have a pattern or anything that's this color. Now this hollow color looks different based on what color fabric you put it on. So on this black, we're going to have to see how it shows up. I'm wondering if I should do part of it in white, like the speak louder part. Let's see, like that. Let's get rid of this punctuation right here. There. So now it's time for us to find a font. I think I want the top and the bottom to be the same font and the middle to be, oh, I like that. Okay, what is that? Heidi Indigo. Alright, let's double up on that. And then for this, I think I kind of want to keep it, you know what, no, I don't want it to be Arial. Times New Roman? No, that doesn't look good. Nope. That's cool. That might work too. So now let's make this a little bigger. and make this also a little bit bigger. All right, now I know my pattern for this bag was a 9 by 9, but I want to measure the amount of space that I'm gonna put my print. So I like to kind of leave an inch at least on both sides, but this time I think I'm gonna go in about 1.5 inches. So that's about right there. So we're going to make it about 6.5 inches, or no, we're gonna make it 6 inches across. See, 6 inches, that way I have 1.5 inches on both sides. So let's line these up. I'm gonna have to lean this against me some kind of way so that I can select everything I need to select. There we go. And I'm gonna object. A line usually trips me out. So let me see if I want to align everything middle. Yep, that's not what we want to do. We want to align centered. Oh, great. So you're gonna make me. Let's do this again. Let's try to do this again. Ugh, I'm on the wrong side. I should just grab my mouse. Like that. This, of course, goes into the middle. Yeah, it's kind of hard using my finger on the mouse pad to get this together. Now this, I'm thinking I want it to be a little shorter. Now, something that I usually forget to do with these script fonts, a lot of the time you're gonna have to now let me see if I can zoom in on that. You see this right here? If you don't weld this, it's gonna cut out like that, and you're gonna be left with a little spot where the vinyl is missing. So what I do is I'm gonna take this phrase, right click it, and you weld it. Now some parts sometimes will separate, like if it's a capital letter right here, it might separate from the rest of the word. So all you do for that is you just, group it. Okay, we're gonna go back here, do the same thing. You're gonna weld it. And see, this time it's separated by every 2 letters. Right click and group it. There, that looks good. So now we want to select everything and group that. Now the reason why I didn't just do like weld that and then weld that and then group everything together is because if I have to break this apart, I don't want to have to break everything apart. I'd rather just separate this block and then have 3 separate blocks that I can work on instead of having to work on everything. I don't know if that explains it or not. So now we have to, let me see, this is almost 4 inches by 6 inches. So of course we want to spread this so that it's about 6. And now let's measure this part. Let's see, that's the bottom, so it's about 6. So after I do the 9 by 9 pattern, it ends up being 9 by 6. So if I go 1 inch from here and 1 inch from here, that gives me about 4 inches of space. But what I think I'm gonna do is just do 3.5. So I'm gonna do it by the corner first, because then I can always stretch it out. Okay, so that is about 3.5. You can look right here and see it's a little bit over 3.5, but I need this number to be 6. So we're going to stretch it out. Sorry about my shoddy camera womanship. All right, so that's good. Let's zoom out. Let's position where we want it on the mat. Now when you're going to do HTV, I'm sure you know, but if you don't, you always want to flip your text. Bam. That way when you press it, it'll come out the right way on the garment or the item. Now we're going to go to send and change our settings. I think I'm going to do this as a HTV hollow. Heat transfer printed. Blocked iridescent. We'll do iridescent. Okay. Now I'm going to load my cutting mat. I keep this piece of plastic, well, I try to keep a piece of plastic on my cutting mats. Excuse me, I'm one-handed right now in the film lab. Okay, of course, you always put your HTV shiny side down. And you line it up where it's supposed to go. Press it on there. Real good. I'm not using these two. And then I'm going to load my machine and start to cut. Okay. My Silhouette Cameo 3 has been loaded. So we're going to come over here and send it to the cutter. Now, when you get to this point, this little reminder is because I chose an HTV setting right here. So, it's going to ask you heat transfer designs, or tell you heat transfer designs often need to be mirrored. Do you wish to send the design mirrored or send it as it is displayed on the screen? Now, I find when I get to this point, and if I don't flip it myself and I do send mirrored, it actually mirrors the whole thing. So if you're only using a piece of scrap vinyl and you don't mirror it yourself or flip the image, it's going to mirror the whole board. So this is going to be on this side. Like, it's not going to move on the screen, but when the machine cuts it, it's going to cut it as if it was on this side. So you would have to have your HTV on this side. Otherwise, it's just not going to cut nothing. It's going to dig into your mat. So that's why I flip it myself. So send as is. And while we're waiting on that, we're going to go ahead and heat up our heat press. This is my heat press I bought off of eBay a while ago. I believe it's a 15 by 15. And it came with a hat attachment, one for mugs, and I believe that, oh, and one for plates, but I haven't done any plates yet. So what you're going to do is turn it on. And for the sensitive fabric that we use, we want to verify our settings. It should be 305 and 15 seconds. Okay, so the sister website said to do it at 320, but for these fabrics, it usually says 305. And it says for 20 seconds, set, and it's Fahrenheit. So now we're just going to let that finish warming up. Now let's go check to make sure that the HTV has cut. Now, cutting HTV sometimes is tricky. So what I like to do is before I remove it or unload it, I like to feel here to make sure I can feel that it's cut all the way through. That way, if I just need to cut it again over the lines already, I don't have to worry about not lining it up correctly. It's already in the machine the way it was. I could just run through another cut cycle and hopefully that'll do it. But that feels like it's cut pretty good, so we're just going to unload it. I'm going to take this off the mat. Let's see. See, you can kind of see the design right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut as close to the design as I can with my scissors, and then I'm going to weed it. I can't cut and hold the camera, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off camera, and then I'll try to weed it while I'm on camera. So apparently that wasn't cut enough for me to weed, so what I'm going to do is come back, and because I already removed it from the machine, so it's going to be pretty hard trying to reload that. So it wouldn't even peel at all. So I'm going to go up to about a 14 and send it again. Hopefully that'll do the trick. But then, you know, my blade is old, so I might just need to replace my blade. Let's see how this turns out. You don't want to put too much force because it'll cut through the backing sheet, and you need the backing sheet to hold everything together. Otherwise, you're just going to have to position all the letters by yourself, and that's really hard to do. Hope that don't fall. Now, let's see if I can lift it up a little tiny bit. Before actually taking it off of here. I don't always use this, but this, maybe it's me. Oh, there we go. We got a little way in right there. I just don't want to. Okay, so what I ended up doing is recutting this again. I used a different blade because this one, if I can get it in the frame. What in the world? Okay, this one is the one that came with my Cameo. And I have two of, if I can get it in the frame, these that I bought off of Amazon. So I used one of these and I upped the pressure one from 10 to 11, and I did one pass. So you can see the difference in how it cut. Now that looks cut. This, see, you can barely see the lines. On that one, you can see the lines. So what we're going to do is go ahead and cut that off so that we're just working with this. Now this is some difficult stuff to weed. Maybe it's because I've never used it before. This is my first time, so learn from my mistakes. Make sure your blade is nice and sharp when you cut this stuff out. There we go. Now that's what I'm talking about. Come on now. I still kind of want to be, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead. I'm trying to stay in frame here and just, you know, I'm kind of scared of pulling off something that I don't need to pull off. And when you work with HTV, you know it's not that hard to pull off a part of whatever the HTV was cut out as. It's real easy to pull off the necessary pieces that you actually need. Come on now, give it up. Okay, I'll come back for that piece. Get me some scissors. And I like to, sometimes when you're working with too many pieces, of the excess, it becomes harder to pull off the pieces that you actually want to pull off. Learn from my mistakes. Alright, so far so good. Let's go right there. Let's just focus on this top word. Let's just focus on the eyebrows. Alright, we got that. There we go. Now that part came off real smooth. Okay. Now I have the little hook tool that you get with some of these silhouette kits. But I like to use different things actually. Sometimes I use a sewing pin depending on what I'm weeding. A lot of the times I'll just use my box cutter. Now because this was difficult to get off, I'm just going to go ahead and use my box cutter because I don't think a sewing pin is going to hack it. Or maybe it will, but it doesn't look like it's a lot to weed on this one. Almost there, folks. Almost there. It's a good idea to have a trash can near your table. I have a box. That way I can just toss it, whatever excess I have in the box by my desk. I have a trash can too, but I mostly use that for like excess pieces of fabric when I'm sewing, or you know, when you're sewing and you cut off the little excess thread, whether you're using a sewing machine or a serger. I like to use my trash can for smaller stuff so that it doesn't get full fast. And then I have a decent sized box next to my table. Come on now, get off. Where I can put all my excess, my weeding stuff from my vinyl or whatever. Now, you want to make sure that you get off whatever might be hanging on. Now look at that. Isn't that pretty? Wow, that's really cute. Okay, now let's go press it on. Okay, now this is all cool. I've moved it to my space over here. So that we can peel this off. I'm going to do it really gently, just in case. And then at this point, once I peel this, I usually put it back under the, back on the, see, this is why, oops, this is why you want to make sure you don't have anything stuck to it. There we go. Good. Thank goodness I can peel that off. But doesn't that look nice? I usually hit it one more time with the heat press after I do this to make sure that it's on there, but this is pretty much on there. I still might hit it for a few seconds, but there you have it. Have this leopard lined cosmetic bag. It's really big too. And I'm going to list this on my Etsy for around $13. Thank you for joining me today. I'll have another craft coming up in a little while.